So now the next thing is actually it's a Q&A from Kit171. Kit, I know
Our
if
buddy on
this is on
Twitter
YouTube,
and YouTube.
if you're watching this, we always appreciate all your feedback, all your comments, and thank you for sending us the question. But his question was actually, what is the worst tasting beer we've ever had? Now, I know mine pretty much immediately, but Jim...
I wonder if ours is going to be the same, actually.
Okay, then I'll go first in case, and then I'll say you stole it.
You son of a bitch.
All right, well, I'm actually going to
Because I know what you're going to say.
Well, I'm breaking it down to two categories.
All right.
I'm saying one, the beer with the least amount of flavor or taste, and that without a doubt was Yingling Light beer. Not to be confused with Yingling Light, which actually isn't bad, but specifically...
Yingling Light Lager, if you want to be technical about it.
Yeah, you got to actually say beer after the fact, because the light lager is not bad.
That's the one that's good. I'm saying the beer. Yeah.
Balls cheap, even for Yingling. We got the cans. I started drinking it, and I swear to God, it was slightly malty or hoppy flavored water. I mean, we're not big haters. We might talk some shit sometimes, joking around. We don't hate on Coors and Miller Lite like a lot of other people do, because we know what we're buying with that. But this shit made those beers seem like they had the most flavor in the world. So that's just no flavor. But worst tasting, easily, I have to go with the Flying Dog Dead Rise. This beer...
Ooh, really?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. So this beer... Flying Dog, for those of you who don't know, I believe it's a Delaware-based brewery. Jim, you tell me if I'm right about that.
I know it's local to us, so I think you're on the right track.
Yeah, so basically, it's a Delaware-based beer. They have some of the coolest label art you'll see on bottles. It's like a very unique style. Very, like, you know when you're drinking one of their beers. They always try to experiment with some crazy flavors. And in this particular beer, they decided, hey, let's add an IPA and the flavor of goddamn Old Bay seasoning, to get that like crab flavor. One. So Jim and I got this, and to exacerbate everything and make it a hell of a lot worse, we were doing a drinking game with it. So, yeah. Imagine one of the tardiest and like highest IBU beers you could taste, and then throw some goddamn salty-ass Old Bay seasoning, and you basically have this beer. There's two types of taste sensations that you should never mix, and that's salty and tarty, and that is all you get from that beer. Some people really like it. I guess they just really like the salt content or something, or the hoppiness, or they just fucking love crabs. Either way, it turned me off, and I did not enjoy it at all. So, that's my pick. But, yeah, so going back to what I said, Dead Rise, that's my pick, and that's why. And I know all tastes are subjective. Some people might love the shit out of it, and some people might think the worst tasting beer in the world is anything too fruity or spicy. Like, spicy meaning like a pumpkin beer. But for me, that one, salty and hoppy, is not a good combination. So, that's me.
Yeah. I was going to steal your thunder, and I knew Yingling beer or light beer was going to be an automatic for probably both of us. So, you know what? I'll do... Who does the habanero sculpins?
That's Ballast Point. A very big favorite of the West Coast.
And you know what? I do like the other Ballast Point beers I've had, but that habanero sculpin...
Jim, I have one question before you dive into that. Is it because you've always drank it in looser brews?
I have a little vendetta against it. I'm man enough to admit that.
But go ahead. Explain your story. All right, so while Jim's getting his stuff reset, let me just tell you the quick story of the Ballast Point Habanero Sculpin for Jim. Now, I'll give a quick background for those of you who don't know. Ballast Point is, like I said earlier, one of the most popular breweries on the West Coast. Their typical Sculpin IPA, their grapefruit IPA, it's delicious. However, they decided, let's add some habanero. And it's a common practice with a lot of beers to add habaneros or some type of spice. Jim was the unfortunate recipient of that beer, I believe 2 or 3 times, and it was because we were playing our drinking games and we created loser brews, and I would always mix that Sculpin with something like a stout or something nasty. So that's just a little quick background while Jim comes back.
Yeah, I'm back. How far did I get?
Literally, I said, tell your story of the habanero Sculpin, and then you were
damn it.
out. So, Jim, go ahead. I just gave the background of the beer and, why you're drinking it, but let's explain to the folks why you don't like it.
Basically, I don't think I'm a fan of that kind of habanero heat flavor mixed in with beers. Of beers that you can actually get, I would say it's one of the more available ones as far as a habanero beer goes. And if you don't like the heat, it's not even the heat. It wasn't even that hot. It's just, I don't think it's a good mix of just pure hop flavor with pure habanero. And they kind of smished it together without really giving it any kind of character, I'd say. It's not nearly as hot or as stringent as, say, Ghostface Killah is, because good luck finding that anywhere anyway. But if you ever get your hands on that, I'd say definitely try it, but you'll probably regret it. So of something that's more that people will likely find and actually drink, I'd say the habanero Sculpin.
Okay. So, Kit, once again, thank you for the question. It's interesting because those things probably came to Jim and I's head right away, but it's a good question.